You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Business owners, entrepreneurs, athletes, and individuals alike, we have a special guest with us today. He's the co-owner and president of HAL Sports. This is about him producing mass endurance community and charity sports events like runs, walks, stair climbs. In essence, it's basically creating a platform for you to have a stage and be able to communicate that message to an audience. You can realize your dreams, your goals, and your full potential, and that the impossible is possible. With us today is Lonnie Summers. Lonnie, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you?
Thanks, Chris. I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a second Monday for us. It is a Tuesday after a holiday, but it's always good to get back into that workflow again. Now, we're interested in asking you about your entrepreneurial journey. Where did you first start, and how did that bring you into what you're doing today?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think when you look back and you look for these signs throughout your entire life, so I always think I had that spirit in that. And in high school, I got involved, and admittedly, it was because there was a girl I was interested in at the time. So it's funny how that changes things. And she was involved in this program called Junior Achievement. And this is going to date myself, but if anyone that knows Family Ties, I became Alex P. Keaton and became a complete business nerd, but really had an entrepreneurship spirit behind things. Junior Achievement was one of these programs that was really great because it really talked about business and was done through the school year and also had summer programs. And I really gravitated towards that. But so I look and say that set me up for things. But then when they say kids change your life, they really did. And so this is our story, how I created our own business. I always had the dream that someday I'd be sitting in, some big skyrise corner office with a big title and yachts and all that good stuff that came with it. But my wife and I, we got pregnant with twin daughters. And this was many years ago. They actually are going to be turning 21 here in a few weeks, so which is wild. But when they say kids really change your lives, ours did, and this is why. They were diagnosed with a fetal anomaly. And the fetal anomaly actually should have taken their lives. And they were saved by doing in utero surgery. Now, that can be a whole different story for a whole different podcast for a different day. But after they got through with that, and my wife and I got into running later in life, and we thought, hey, Komen, the Race for the Cure, everyone knows that. This deals with kids. We'll have thousands of people out there. How hard can it be? So we decided, let's do a charity run to deal with what they went through. Because with fetal anomaly, it can take the lives of almost 200 babies a day. This isn't a pro-choice or pro-life or anything like that. It's just you're pregnant, something goes wrong, just like anything else in life. And there's sometimes some scary outcomes that come out of that. What we had was a pretty scary, severe syndromatic issue. And they were saved by doing in utero surgery. It was pretty miraculous. So we wanted to raise money, get more awareness out there because it was more of a taboo subject. And that led to two paths. One was the first year I can say we were successful is my wife didn't divorce me after the fact, because if anyone who's listening who's ever done, just think of your wedding. If you've done a wedding, it's stressful time frame. Let's do that on steroids. And that's what putting an event on is like. And I realized that it wasn't easy. And again, first year I say we were successful is my wife didn't divorce me, but that led into us creating an international foundation. The other side of that is as you and I talked pre-podcast, a little bit of our love of DJing and microphones and so forth. The joke is I've never met a microphone I haven't loved. I decided to get more involved and learn as much as I could about this crazy endurance sports side of things, doing runs and walks. What did it take behind the scenes? So I volunteered a lot. And then I got, hey, one of the easiest things for me to volunteer and do while I look behind the curtain is I'll just offer to MC these events and announce. And so I started that. And I guess I did a good enough job that I had like Rock and Roll Marathon hire me and do some of their events and some other events. And again, this progressed me getting involved into more in the industry. And I didn't fall in love with it. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it because, yeah, people weren't necessarily becoming millionaires and there was no corner offices, but man, it was so inspiring being out there and seeing that everybody had a story of why they were lining up the event that day. Now, it could be a charity race, and a lot of people were there for the charity, but some people were there to lose weight. Some people were overcoming cancer. Some people were in their 90s. Some people were running for the first time. Some people were battling addiction. Whatever it was something for them to tell their story. And it was always so inspiring and so powerful. And not only that, the common good of what the collective was doing for whatever charity or community event it was. My wife and I, in 2009, an opportunity arose for us to the company that had grown nationally and had too many assets and took on too much debt. There was a small piece of assets they had in Colorado, which is where we're based out of. And so we decided, hey, what the heck, let's try it. Let's put in an offer and let's buy those assets and see. Well, they took it and ran, unintended. And the next thing you know, we're in the running industry. And we created HAL Sports, and HAL is not a person, it actually stands for Healthy Active Living. And that was our trajectory into that because we saw such a need. And what we found out, and what a lot of entrepreneurship comes out to be, Chris, which I'm sure you'd agree with, is you see a need that isn't being met. You have, gosh, I wish somebody did it for me. And now it's like, well, if the X doesn't exist, why don't I do this? What we realized, and the reason I give that really long, detailed story and everything, when we created our charity race, I would hire a vendor. Yes, they'd come out and do their job, but they didn't make my event better. And being a runner is the same thing as an event director, are completely two different things. Even though they might deal with runs, it'd be the same thing as saying, I'm a patient to a surgeon. Doesn't make you a surgeon because you're a patient. You might understand a lot, but you're never going to understand the amount that a surgeon does. Same thing with race directing. So these groups would come out and they would do their job, but they didn't make me better. I did an event once a year. What the heck do I know? And what I felt like is when we started HAL Sports, which was really the idea of let's be a partner with these community events. Let's be a partner with these charities. Most events are not Chicago Marathon, Boston Marathon, and so forth. Most of the ones that people are participating are local community charity events. And that's where we thought if we could partner with them and be an indispensable resource for them and give them guidance and give them resources and give them tools to make their events better and also have their back, so that their events are done well, as opposed to, it'd be real easy for me to just show up and do that. And that's where we felt the need was at. And after that, now we've been in business for over 16 years.
That is an incredible journey, and I appreciate you sharing it because throughout the journey, your initiatives, what you wanted to do, why you were doing it, started with something completely different, and throughout the years, it just pivoted and changed. I love that it started with a girl. Hey, we got to try to impress them. What else can I do? And throughout that journey, you evolve, you pivot, you overcome these obstacles, you find the purpose and the why of why you want to do these things. And fulfilling a need in the market is a challenge. But as an entrepreneur, you recognize those opportunities and you decide, okay, is this my calling? Is this what I want to improve and help fix? And that is where you pivoted to. And the fact that it's grown into what it is today is extremely admirable. Congratulations to you. Now, with everything that you're doing with that past experience, where are you at today with the events? Is this national or is it like throughout the states you can do their local events?
Yeah, that's a great question. Funny enough, when we started, because we were working full-time, still doing other things, we thought it would just be a side business, maybe bringing a little additional income. And then it quickly changed. I remember, Chris, we even made like marketing cards to market ourselves. And it was really because of the philosophy that we had that going into this, that we wanted to partner with these community events and really care about them and try to understand who their participants are. How can we help them? How can we make sure they don't make mistakes that a lot of we did as race directors coming in for the first time made, and continuously educate and improve their events. And so we were never going to go out of Colorado, and we were only going to keep it small. And then, before we knew it, we're all across the United States, and we worked with all kinds of events and do a ton of traveling and stuff. But it's been really fun, and it's been exciting. And I think the best two things I think have been said to us by some of our clients is one is that we take the crazy out of producing events, but we're solving an issue. We're trying to make their life less stressful. So whether it's doing this or DJ services or selling that widget, you're trying to make things easier for the end user. Second piece to that is we've become such an indispensable resource for them that there's been competitors in other markets, in other states. And then for us, when we're coming out of Colorado, there could be some additional costs because we're traveling. I think one of the nicest compliments we have is that when a group says, yeah, we could go with XYZ close to us, but we'd rather go with you because we know you have our backs. You're not going to let anything bad happen to our event. You're going to take care of us. And that's really what we're there to do. So it's been fun. I never would have thought that we'd be doing events. We've gone so far as Alaska and everything in Florida. So it's been quite a ride so far.
Wow. For all of our listeners out there, listen to what Lonnie is saying right now. Their sole focus on fulfilling and providing the service was to go above and beyond. And that in itself is creating repeat referral business for them, that they are doing things that they never expected themselves to do before. We want to keep it local, just in Colorado. We want to stick here. Suddenly, they couldn't turn down these clients anymore because they kept coming back to say, this is what you do it the best for us, and we don't even want to consider other competitors. Why is that such a forgotten philosophy in today's marketplace in business when it seems like businesses are increasing prices and removing features and services and saying, it's good enough, do you want a refund or no? Lonnie takes a different approach here. Lonnie, what made you want to take this direction by going above and beyond versus what your competitors were doing?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. And it's actually developed, and I'll talk about this here in a second, two philosophies that I have with it. But the basic thing is that these were needs that I weren't having fulfilled, and I wanted, and I didn't understand why it wasn't there. And so part of that was the first thing that I talk a lot about too, is that for anybody, and this doesn't matter what industry you're in or even anything you're doing, is what I call LLS. And it's learn, listen, and solve. And it isn't necessarily that you need to be the grand poobah and solve everybody's problems. But anytime that you're talking to a customer or a client or a potential client, is don't go in guns blazing and like throw down all the solutions at them. They can really care less about what I call the chicken parts of things. They've got a problem, and the first thing is they want you to listen, and you want to ask questions. You want to understand what their pain points are, and you want to learn everything you can about them as well. So in that process, the questioning that you are doing is really to learn everything you can about them and learn and have them go ahead and vent, even if it's areas that aren't even your area. Let them do that, because what's helped us is not only the business that we have, partners that have the same philosophy that we do, that we bring into our mix, our preferred partners that we team with, whether it's shirt companies or metal companies or so forth. They have that same philosophy. So I'm not going to produce your metal for you, but I know who can do it and do a really good job and give you the same level of service and take that pain point away. Then it builds up that whole thing. So then they come to you as the expert saying, okay, Lonnie, I trust you implicitly. Who do I use for this? And you become so much more valuable to them because, one, you are going to ensure on your own reputation that you give them somebody that can really do a good job. Same thing like you think about, like a neighbor asks you, like, hi, I have a terrible dentist. Who do you use? Oh, I love my dentist. I use it for years, and they go and they love them. It's similar this way. It's just in a business area. And I think that comes to the second thing that I do. I created this concept call, which I call PER squared. And this is how I think about businesses and stuff. We all have gone into a thing where you are just a number, and the person behind the counter could care less about you. They're too busy looking at their social media and stuff. And it's amazing that if you just switch things a little bit around, and I have to preface this to them. My wife and I met working at Disney in a college co-op program. So we understand that Disney Magic doesn't have different employees than anybody else does. They still have people who have to pick up trash and take tickets and everything like that. But they just give it a different connotation. Everyone there is a cast member, regardless of your role. And you're there to put on an experience for people. And just that little change in paradigm in your brain thinking changes everything about how they do the most knowledgeable, friendliest people out there, the people sweeping up the trash. Because really, that's what they're really there for. It's secondary to picking up the trash as to be there for the guests. So with PER squared, the first concept is called be personable. And when I was talking about they don't care about you, care about them. Get to know them. We all love the feeling of personally connected to you, and they feel like they have an in with you. That's what we want. I want everybody to feel like that. I want to feel like we are there for them, that they have us as that inside resource. I want them to feel important, that they know somebody. They're the VIP. So it's not necessarily that the customer is always right. I take it a different level as the personableness of it. So that's what the P part is for. The second thing is engagement and being engaging person. So if you got to be personable, you got to be engaging. Engage with them. It's okay to have some small talk with them. That's what creates that friendship with. Understand, again, learn, listen, solve is that engaging piece of it too. And then the last piece that I say is it's R. It's actually two R's, but it's R squared, and you'll see why in a second, is be remarkable to be remarketable. So Chris, you talked about initially, like I got people coming to us, we get referrals, word of mouth. It's amazing, and I don't take for granted. It surprises me sometimes of where we get people contacting us from and stuff. But the remarkable piece of that is, first of all, I do what I say we're going to do. And then I try to over deliver on those things. And I don't do it in a way that is going to nickel and dime a client. So we all have that, I call it, sorry, lawyers out there, but the lawyer mentality of, I thought about you for 15 minutes, I'm going to charge you an hour's worth of my time. It's like, you don't even want to say anything to them because they're going to like, oh my gosh, I spent I had to pay $50 because they removed staples from my paper. But everything is charged. I mean, we want to be compensated appropriately for our services, but regardless of what we get hired for an event or for our customers or our clients, if there's something that on event day, because the event day is what I call proactive reaction. When an event's taking place, you're dealing with a lot of different moving parts and so forth. Anything and everything can happen. Nothing's going to go 100% according to plan. So it's how you understand that proactive side of it And you can't be 100% proactive on it because you never know what's going to come, but it's the reaction piece of it. How are we going to react to the situation? And for us, if there's something that comes up with a client, I'm not going to let their event fail because it wasn't our scope of work. If it's something that we can help make better that day, we're going to do it. And so, yeah, and should I maybe been compensated for it? Maybe. But you know what it's going to turn into? It's going to turn into that they're going to either hire more of our services for the following event, or they're going to give word of mouth out and it's going to generate more revenue for me in the long term. So it's getting rid of the short-term mentality, thinking long-term, and thinking really how you take care. It's no different than if you think of like a family member. If they're sick, you're going to do everything you can take care of them or be there for them. And sometimes it might be a little bit out of, and I don't want to say painful, but it might be a little bit more than what you intended to do, but do it. So that becomes that remarkable piece because we've been in this house, my whole team has been remarkable. And real quickly, Chris, I'll go with a quick anecdote of this. There's a really large event in Brooklyn, New York. And I know the owner and they grew just exceptionally crazy, like almost threefold in 1 year. And it was a huge infrastructure taking. So they brought us out. We helped them out. And that day we were the SWAT team. Whatever they need to be done, we got it done. And they knew that we would get it done so much that it's increased our role from being like 4 people out there this last year, bringing a team of 14 people and managing their entire course for them for this event. So that's where that PER squared. And the squared thing, again, is because it becomes exponential. The remarkable piece of it is if you talk about it and you find other like people, and to this day, knock on wood, I've been so blessed and fortunate. I've never done a lick of marketing, traditional marketing.
That is so inspiring to hear. And that is what I try to tell a lot of the marketing clients that I work with is, yes, I can provide this content and help your brand and get you in front of the right people. But at the end of the day, you have to focus on providing amazing customer service because each client, each customer, each prospect or lead that comes through is an opportunity for you to win them over and for them to go and then be promoters of your product or service. If you're not creating a long-term brand, that's not the strategy unless you're actually focusing on the customer service and making their experience amazing. To hear that you never had to do this traditional marketing is fantastic because you focus on what matters the most. I feel like if most entrepreneurs focused on that, they would be a lot more successful earlier on. But unfortunately, they have that lawyer mentality. They're trying to get compensated for every minute or second that they provide a service for, as opposed to what can I do to go above and beyond to help them? And then that can then create a snowball effect with more clients and more referrals.
Oh, absolutely. And other opportunities for your own business as you look to grow. And I will say this too, it's real important for an entrepreneurs, whether currently you're full-fledged entrepreneurship and got your business thriving to those looking to get into it, is first of all, it all ebb and flow. You're going to have your up times, you're going to have your down times. As much as we've had success, we're talking about the successes, we've definitely had our challenges. And it doesn't always go right. And sometimes the biggest thing that can come to you is growth. You get growth, and it's really hard when you're an entrepreneur and you go, okay, I don't know if this event's going to be around next year or if this client's going to be around next year, so I better take as much as I can now. Well, then you get into the problem of extending yourself out too much. And it's really hard to do the level of service. And if you are able to do a level of service, you're probably not sleeping. And 100%, my wife and I are guilty of doing that a lot because also part of that personableness is we become very personable with a lot of our clients. It's hard to say no. So learning to say no, going back to where I was going with this, with the growth opportunities we've had where clients are like, gosh, we have this service and it's not really working out well. And it's like, well, we can maybe help out with that. So here's a good example. Photography at events. They have photographers, but it takes a while to get delivered to the participants. Sometimes they make them pay for it. Is that really a thing? Do they want to pay for it? Depends on the event. All these things. And we have these technology partners that we work with that have an incredibly spooky AI that they use for photography. So we teamed up with them. We offer it at a really cheap rate. I have some friends of mine that have done photography. I brought them into the HAL Sports mall. They have their own business, but I bring them in, and now we offer photography services for events. And we make it simple, but for me, it's real easy. I just schedule it, and I let my lead photographer handle the rest of it. But we're adding that added service because it's basically one-stop shop for them, but I'm able to also charge for that and make a little bit of extra money on it as well.
Absolutely. But that's just another opportunity where you saw a need within the market that wasn't being fulfilled or something that could be done better. And I feel like at the end of the day, Lonnie just walks into anywhere and he's like, move over, fine, I'll just do it. I'll take care of it in a very positive way. Not that other people aren't capable, but they're not meeting the need of what people are asking for, or they're not taking it above and beyond. And this now just becomes an upsell opportunity and another way for you to absolutely delight all the clients and customers that you serve and even the participants as well. Imagine how many people each participant knows. Sometimes it's 500 participants, maybe it's 5,000. I don't know how big these events can get, but each one is an opportunity for you to showcase who you are and what you do, and to create repeat referral business from this is so important. With everything that you've learned in your experience through entrepreneurship and business, what is one piece of advice that you think you know today, but you wish you knew earlier on?
Wow, that's a fantastic question. There's probably a lot of different answers, different things that you learn because it's not always one thing. I would say the interesting thing when we got in our business is there's always the adage of how your schooling or the proper way that you're supposed to do things. And I would say throw that out the window. If writing a full-fledged business plan of 40, 50 pages helps you, great, do it. If it doesn't, it's a painstaking thing, don't. Jot down some notes. It's good to have forward thinking and think about all the aspects of your business. Certainly look at your SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Those type of things are really good practice to do, but I don't think you need to worry about doing a full-fledged plan. My background business is full disclosure. I'm also a licensed CPA. I did a lot of finance stuff. My degree's in accounting. That's how I get my foot in the door. So I understand the financial stuff, but I would never tell somebody to look at building a 5-year projection plan because it's the same question you get asked is like, where are you going to be in 5 years? Okay, that is such an ambiguous idea to try to figure out. I hope maybe I'm this in 5 years, but everybody's in a different spot in 5 years. So great to say, but it happens differently. So don't get so boggled down on having all your planning in place. Planning is important, don't get me wrong, but you don't need to present it in a 45-page paper that you can go in front of a bank and they're going to basically roll out a $100,000, $200,000, or $500,000 loan to you. With HAL Sports, it grew. We had this idea, we tried it out. We had maybe it was bullet point type things that we wanted to do. We did our cost analysis. It wasn't anything pretty to look at on what we needed to make, what we could charge. And that's how things thrive. So I would say don't get worked down in the formulas of how you do things. If it works for you, great, do it. But if it's something that's stressing you out and causing that and keeping you from taking that step and that leap of faith, then don't worry so much into it. Don't worry about conventional wisdom, I guess is the way I think. Conventional wisdom is there for some things, but it isn't necessarily applicable to everybody. And I think that's a big thing that I would say I've learned. And I think what's hurt us in the conventional wisdom, true on that, Chris, is that it's thinking that, again, when I went back to, why would you ever turn down business? And there are some groups I know that never turn down business, but then it also diminishes what they're able to do. And it is hard. And that's something I'm going to admittedly struggle with today still. There's this new exciting opportunity and you feel like you can help people. It's a little bit, I don't want to say it's like being a doctor that truly cares and wants to help as many people as possible, but you're only one person. You can't be there for everybody. Feels a little bit like that. I don't want to turn people away when I feel like I can help them and we can help them. But you also can spread yourself too thin. And I think this is probably not a one-word answer or a single concept answer, but I think the biggest thing that if I had to go back, truly, Chris, as I talk through this, is balance. When you are an entrepreneur, yes, you're going to be spending a lot of hours. There is no 9 to 5. There's no Monday through Sunday. There's no weekends and stuff. And that's okay because hopefully you love it and you'll figure out the balance, but don't forget to create that balance. At some point, you have to draw a line in the sand. If you work out of your home, everyone loves to work out of their home. It is also the hardest thing because your office is your home 365 days a year. So we're in an office away. You get to step away, come home, and all your stresses are gone. Try to have some separation. Those are things that I wish that I would have instituted, because whether you're a business that starts out and things go really well for you at first, or they're a struggle, having that separation out is so important because we love our businesses and the lives that we do, but it's not our full life. We have friends and family and things that are much more important than sports and the things that we do.
That is some great advice, because finding balance within entrepreneurship, that work-life balance, feeling like we need to get more done. Could we do more? I still need to relax. We never really check out from our business journey of what we're doing. Sometimes we'll hop on at 11 o'clock at night or midnight just because if we could get a few more emails done, I'll feel caught up and better for the next day. But finding that balance is going to be really important for you in anything that you do, to make sure that you make a running reference. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So don't go as fast as you can, as hard as you can. Make sure you pace yourself a bit, find that balance. So that way you can still help and be impactful to other people and not spread yourself too thin. Now, with all the resources that have brought you here to where you are today, is there like a podcast, a book series, an author, a YouTube channel that has been really insightful or impactful to you in your business and the things that you've learned?
Great question. There's nothing one specific. I'm a big sponge. I grab all kinds of things from all kinds of areas. I will say that working at Disney, meeting my wife at Disney, I really believe and Disney has done such a remarkable job, whether you love Disney or not. The experiences that they create for people are unparalleled to most, and second really to none on most industries. Have they always been that way? No. Do they fall off at times and things aren't a hit? Yeah, absolutely. And that's just going to relate. That's always going to happen. No one's going to be on a trajectory that's completely linear and an upward slope. It's always going to have those peaks and valleys. But for me, I listen to podcasts that deal with business. I listen to like Business Wars is a fun one, interestingly, because I learned actually a lot from some of those things of how they did things and didn't do things. Or I think another one is Business Movers I like a lot. They'll understand the philosophies of Steve Jobs and George Lucas and just some of the things. And you hear about all their struggles too, but you also hear about some of the things that they took chances on and stuff. And I'm just a sponge. I gravitate things. I know, Chris, you have an interest in marketing. And I love untraditional marketing. In the event world, I got to go on my soapbox here for a second. And because I did it, you become a race director, you put on the race director hat, you forget the participant experience. And you think, oh, I want to look cool. So I'm going to get that shirt and I'm going to put every logo of every single business. I don't care if it's a library and they give me a library card, or if it's a health company and they give me $5,000. Their logo is going on my shirt because I want my shirt to look like, wow, look at the back of that shirt. This guy's got 50 sponsors. They must be a big thing. That's the race director mentality. The participant mentality is, why in the hell do I want to wear NASCAR? I don't want to look like a walking billboard. But we forget that. I bring that point specifically because of going as full circle is keep the eyes of the participant and the customer and what they're needing and stuff in focus. But yeah, truly, it's been an amazing journey throughout the whole process of that. Here's one of those opportunities where Lonnie's mind goes, 8,000 different directions, and I get myself back on track. But the marketing aspect, I love untraditional marketing because that's a traditional marketing thing. That's what everyone did. I love untraditional things. In an event, well, we've done some things like I had Jimmy John's was a sponsor. And so of a Super Bowl run that we had, well, we all know in football, the 40-yard speed test is very important to football. You and I never go run a 40-yard dash anywhere, but we always in the back of our mind wonder how fast we are comparatively. So we set up this thing of the finish line of a 5K for the Super Bowl. The last 40 yards would be a sprint zone. You didn't have to sprint, but you could, and we did 40 yards. And Jimmy John's slogan, tagline is freaky fast. So this was perfect. So it was Jimmy John's freaky fast 40-yard dash. And we had a separate competition and we had separate results thing and this whole thing, which they loved. So I didn't put them on the back of a shirt. I did this whole cool engagement within the brand itself. Yesterday, we just did the Memorial Day Boulder 10K, which is one of the largest 10Ks in the country. They had the last mile. If you ran the last mile faster than you ran any of the previous miles, you got a shaving cream company gave you a bottle of shaving cream. And, you know, who cares about shaving cream really? But it was just the fact that they were doing something like that was huge attention. So untraditional marketing, a book is John Spolentra, is Marketing Outrageously. That's what it's called. I love that. John was one of these guys that was working for minor league teams, but had a brilliant marketing mind. And so he actually ended up in the majors with different NBA and in MLB and teams like that. But these were markets where nobody was coming to the games. So he's like, I want people to get there. So he has this thing where he sent out rubber chickens to invites to people in the mail, and they got a rubber chicken. So you think of your normal mail that you get, you throw it away. Everyone paid attention to this rubber chicken, what it was about, and it was to get some of their season ticket holders back. But one of the things that he was famous for doing, amongst other things, is he thought, all right, this is an entertainment thing. Our team sucks. We have no good players anyone cares about. But you know what? Halftime is a great time to have some entertainment. So he came up with this idea to have sumo wrestlers playing basketball. You know, of course, from the team, it's like, this is a serious sport. No, it's an entertainment thing. And I just filled the stands. And he filled the stands. And all of a sudden, it became the hottest thing, even though the team sucked. Was to get these things. Just from giving people this, you know, it's your entertainment. You've got this opportunity to create something outrageous. And I love his philosophies. I listen to any type of marketing podcast or those type of things, or just ideas in general that are outside the box, that are trendsetters, that do things that are not traditional at all. So that was a really long answer to all the podcast things, but I absorb things like a sponge. I don't get the opportunity to sit down and read as much as I'd like, but podcasts are amazing. Thank God for podcasts, because when I'm working out daily or I'm in the car, I can just throw on a podcast and it spurs ideas. And I think the big thing that I would tell people, which I'm bad about, I try to do better about it. If there's an idea that pops up, write down a note, even if it's a quick shorthand note. Those are invaluable to you when you look at that later, because hopefully you'll be able to take those and incorporate in what you're doing.
I can't even tell you how many good ideas have probably been forgotten because we simply just didn't write it down, or we think of it again a year later and wow, how impactful that could have been if we only remembered that a little bit sooner. But it's so important for us to be lifelong learners, to be sponges, try to obtain and soak in this knowledge as much as we can, and look to other business owners and entrepreneurs who have gone through it in different industries, different services, different products, just to learn what they did. And it's important to be a bit outrageous, be a bit off kilter. Don't be perfectly straight. If you're looking to stand out, you need to separate yourself from the rest of the crowd and do something a bit different, even if it's unconventional. That's so important. Lonnie, you're obviously experienced and you have a lot of knowledge to share. For those who are interested in connecting with you and learning more about you, where can they find you online?
Absolutely. I'm in a lot of different places. So I'm definitely on LinkedIn. If you just Lonnie Summers, LONNIESOM, just one M, ERS. You can find me there. You can go to halsports.net. You can find me there. I also still do announcing and live hosting, and I do some voiceover work. So it's lonniesummers.com. So all kinds of ways. If anyone wants to get in touch with me for whatever, I'm always happy. Another big thing that I have to say, Chris, is just meeting people and networking is also a great learning experience. Everyone can bring something to the table. And this is really aging me, but the Rolodex or our contact lists of who something comes up, an idea that you can help somebody out with or help yourself out with.
Absolutely, Lonnie. Thank you so much for sharing your insight and your knowledge with us today. We appreciate you taking the time. Congratulations on your past success and all of your future success. I know 2024 is going to be another amazing year for you, so congratulations. And we'll also have the links available down in the description and the show notes so you can get connected with Lonnie directly to him. So Lonnie, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. Congratulations to you. Best of luck with everything else that you do.
Thanks, Chris. Well, it's been a pleasure to be on the show. I really enjoy it and enjoyed meeting you and getting to know your background.
Same here. I appreciate it, Lonnie. Thanks so much and have a great day.
Thanks, you too.